Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet, and welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna. We'll be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling.
Episode 2 of Season 3.
Yeah. All right, so this is my episode. We're going to be talking about AR. Wow.
AR?
Yeah, we're talking
Assault
about
rifles?
AR readings points. No, we're talking about AI art and like how AI is impacting creative spaces right now. And we're going to switch up our order a little bit today. So you'll have to let us know in the comments in all the places what you think. We're going to talk about our main topic first, and then we're going to share what we're reading and watching and whatever. So if you live to know... today is not a good English day.
Words are hard.
If you love to know like what we're currently consuming, make sure you hang around to the end of the pod. But before we jump into our main topic, I do just want to put a little shout out for our Patreon because we are just about to finish our read along of Red Seas Under Red Skies, and you can vote if you're a member of our Patreon. Our current books you can vote for, we've got Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch, Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, Mistborn by the same Brando Sando, and The Poppy War by by R.F. Kuang.
There you go. You got there.
I was doing so good. And then the mild dyslexia kicked in. Anyway.
I just forgot the letters.
I wanted to say KFC.
By
because
KFC?
I'm hungry. No, by R.F. Kuang.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway, so if you want to vote on our next read-along, join our Patreon, and you can vote.
Also, I would totally read a book written by Colonel Sanders.
Fair.
I'm just going to put that out there.
Fair.
And if it exists, it's going on the next list for a read-along.
I don't think it does. And I'm glad that the next list will be curated by me. So we'll have some time for you to forget.
You coward. You coward.
No. So let's talk about AI and art.
Yes. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It's a very hot topic right now.
Yeah. I see a lot of like things popping up on Reddit and YouTube. A lot of it is art space, and I see it on TikTok all the time too. Like, I told an AI to draw this, and this is what it did.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going around right now for sure.
I feel like when I first really started noticing it was when that generator was going around where people would put their pictures in, and the AI would generate like what they would look like in different time periods. You remember that trend?
Yeah.
I guess that app, or I think it was an app, cost money. So like people were paying for this AI to create these pictures for them, which is I think where the art community started to get really frustrated, because like if it's a free thing, like, and it's if you saw those trends going around, the art that it was creating was by no means perfect. Like,
no, there's like third arms jutting out of people's backs, and like it's weird.
Right, there'd be weird things happening, but some of it was really beautiful. So it's kind of a mixed bag of like weird, and really honestly nice to look at. And artists were frustrated that people were paying for that because they could have paid an actual person whose job it is to create portraits or to like doctor photos, or there's a huge creative space where you could invest in real people to do that instead of an app.
Yeah.
So that was when I really started to hear the discourse around it. And it seemed to be mostly illustrators that were speaking up because that's their livelihood. And then recently, Clark's World magazine, which is a big speculative fiction name, they publish short stories in flash fiction. I guess they have always had like a number of submissions that they have to throw out because they're plagiarized, or like they're not submitted by real people, they're submitted by bots, and they could pick them out. But recently their number of submissions that they've had to throw out has like increased tenfold. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so
I mean,
crazy.
I'm sure that's partially because of that Chat GPT.
Yes.
Because that one will actually write things in a somewhat intelligible way.
Yes.
Like it actually makes sense, the things that it comes up with.
Exactly. So they had to close their submissions, for which they never do. But they had to close it because they were getting such an influx of submissions that were fake, and they just could not. Like they had to catch up and weed through all the junk to get to the actual submissions. So now I'm seeing a lot of discourse from. I'm seeing a lot of
the writing world.
From the writing world, but specifically, I am seeing like comments from diverse creators. So like diverse writers, either in the BIPOC or disabled community, saying that this influx of fake submissions is going to directly impact those already marginalized groups, because what will probably happen is that magazines and I say magazines, I don't necessarily mean paper magazines, although there is some of that still, but like online magazines.
Yeah.
Because the odds are that the way that they'll try to mitigate these bots essentially is to put a paywall on submissions. So if you're, which like, that's not new. There are a lot of magazines and like digital spaces that already require like a $5 submission fee to submit your story. But there are some that have never done that. And so the fact that this could make it so that they have to start doing that will make it harder for marginalized groups to actually get their foot in the door in publishing, which is really disheartening. So now they're trying to find creative ways to, I can't remember what magazine it was, but I saw that they had tweeted, it wasn't Clark's World, it was someone else that was having a similar issue. And basically they were like, we have never wanted to put a submission fee and we never will. We will find another solution. Like,
okay.
So, because these are creatives that care about other creatives, right?
Right.
So, that's kind of where this discussion that I want to have with you started from. I did read a little bit of an article today that was talking about how, AI didn't come out of nowhere. It's been around for a while, obviously. Our phones are chock full of it. The systems we use at self-checkout, there's AI built into that. Google searches, Siri, Alexa. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not new. And, some voices were maybe raised early on in the AI development, like AI is taking the jobs of people, right? And like retail spaces. I don't remember people complaining about it too much though. Presumably because those aren't jobs people generally like anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But now that it's kind of infringing into the creative space, people are getting a little more nervous about it.
Yeah.
Which I think
is fair.
That's
the first. Yeah, the first thing that I thought when you started talking about this stuff, I was like, oh wow, automation is coming for like the art world. Like that's what happened to all these like factory workers. Their jobs got axed because automation took over, and they didn't need any bodies in these factories anymore. It was just automation. So that's kind of a form of AI. Like it's a machine doing a task that you told it to do.
For sure.
So as AI becomes more and more developed and complex, the more it is going to be capable of doing things that we would call creative things, right? Because what are our brains?
Right.
Our brains are a biomechanical. Our brains are basically a machine. Like our body is just a biological machine, right? And we are capable of very complex thoughts and feelings with our brains. And the more complex we make these AI, I'm not saying that AI is going to become sentient. I'm not talking like iRobot or Terminator here, but I mean,
Right. No, I'm not
I
either.
mean, maybe Google becomes Skynet someday, but I don't think it's anytime soon. But I think the more complex it gets, the more you're going to see those creative things slowly getting, I hope not taken over, but it seems like that's kind of a trajectory that it could go down. Like why pay for a headshot or not a headshot? Why pay for like a cartoonist to draw a caricature of me of the state fair if I can just like upload a photo into an app and it'll generate a caricature for me
Right.
that I can like frame and stuff.
Right.
And I only have to pay like $2 for the app, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And I love that you brought that up because I was just in a class this week where someone talked about how, oh, this is like we were talking about spaces for kids, right? So like programming for kids in libraries. And someone mentioned that they had heard of this app that will generate a fantasy map for you. So we were talking about like someone wanted to have a D&D campaign program at their library. Someone's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you can use this one app to make a map." And I don't think there are a ton of people out there drawing maps anymore. But
Yeah. Cartography is a bit of a lost art.
it is for sure. But I think that I feel a little torn because I think like, wow, that's a cool resource that you can use with kids. But it does have the potential to take away from other humans' creative space.
Yeah.
Right? Like our dad is a very gifted map. That's not like his main thing, but he can draw a nice map. And a lot of the fantasy books that you and I read have fantasy maps in them, which I always assumed a person drew. But
Yeah.
maybe that's not the case.
I could see it being, I think it's, I think I'm kind of landing in a place of like everything in moderation, right? I think that if you are just starting as an author and you don't have the money to pay someone to draw a map of your fantasy land, maybe you just do an AI generated map and you kind of work your story around that and you just like put the pinpoints of like the cities on it and call it good. So maybe that can be a good resource for someone who's just starting out in writing. Or if you're just doing a D&D group, you know, you're not getting paid to DM
Sure.
a game. So
Sure.
you're trying to find the best economic way to do that.
Right. You're not Matt Mercer, so you can't pay.
Right. Yeah, some people get paid to DM, but those people are very lucky.
Right.
So again, I can see that being a very useful tool for people who are looking for like a cheap way to do something. Because I mean, I've gone online and found like map making websites, but you have to like do the work. You have to like draw the stuff, and
Right.
they've got like different. This is a tree brush where like you click and you drag, and it's trees, and
Right.
so it's like it's really cool. But you could even argue that those kind of websites kind of take away from
Oh, for sure.
like creatives that do map making stuff because it takes a lot of the work out of it and a lot of the talent required out of it.
Right. And it's not just maps, right? Like there are character generating sites too where you can go on and like put in
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of Sims level. Some
Yeah.
of them, but and I think that there's a time and a place for that too, right? I think that it's when we take those things that were generated by an AI kind of system and we try to monetize them that it starts to get a little more iffy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I think for your own personal use, so like you can visualize something that you're still doing creative work with. I think that that's one thing. I think that if you and here's the thing, I don't know if those submissions that Clark's World was getting were from bots or if it was. I mean, I think some of it had to have been because the influx was crazy, or if but it could have been some people going to Chat GPT, putting in a prompt, copy pasting, putting in another prompt, copy pasting, and then submitting. But it still has like the uncanny valley aspect to it, right? Like it's still not perfect storytelling.
they weren't going through, and it's like in school when you're cheating. It's like, now don't make
Yeah.
it obvious, man. Go in and like change a few words so it doesn't sound like I wrote your paper,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Like
Right. Exactly.
like these amateurs didn't go in and proofread these submissions and like change some words around beforehand.
Right.
Amateurs.
Right. And I
I think
I think it's probably fairly likely that a lot of it is the work of a bot, right? Or like
probably.
some engineer or programmer out there developed a bot farm and was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make some money submitting to lit magazines,
Yeah.
which is a weird way to do it. But
Yeah. I mean, there's bots for everything,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
This is also just kind of the world that we live in, right? Where the goal, everyone's goal in this society is to make the most money you can with the least amount of effort possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that is basically your goal in life in this society.
Right.
So, which is tragic and like just depressing to think about, but that's true. In a capitalist society, that's the goal. So what's a really cheap way to do that? I mean, especially if ChatGPT is free. I think it's free, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't
I don't
gone
know.
on there at all, so
If it's not free, it's probably not terribly expensive. But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But if you can trick people into publishing your stories
mm-hmm.
and you didn't do any work whatsoever, free money.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and you don't even have much of an opportunity cost because you just told an AI to do it. You literally didn't have to, like, if you just got a bot program to put prompts in and submit them, you're doing zero
Right.
work. I mean, you programmed the bot,
You've literally
but
literally created an AI to utilize an AI to
yeah,
submit
yeah.
to a magazine. Yeah.
So I mean, you had to put in the work of like programming the bot to
Mm-hmm.
do it, but yeah, that's just. I mean, I'm not shocked at all.
No, no, me either. And one of the other articles that I wish I had written these down. I didn't read them fully. I was just like gleaning some
You're skimming
information.
stuff, yeah.
Also talked about how like, and these are not like, these ideas are not terribly unique either. So, but like even
People have been having these discussions for a
right,
while
right.
now. Yeah.
But like the fact that the AI had a creator at some point, right? Like somebody sat down and developed the software to do this.
Hmm.
That was their creative endeavor to create the software
Yeah.
that could be
No, it
creative.
makes sense.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
because
oh gosh, like programming is a whole, it's a super creative and like
for
mathematical
sure.
and like it's using all the parts of the brain
Yeah.
for software development. But and I was like, oh man, I hadn't even thought about how like a human somewhere or a group of humans developed this software,
Hmm.
and now everyone's mad at it. But
I think this is going to open up a bit of a Pandora's box
mm-hmm.
into just like AI ethics. You know,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think this is gonna kind of have a snowball effect of like, okay, so we need to actually like set some ground rules here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're gonna start seeing some like regulations that get put in place regarding AI. Um, because yeah, I mean, it's people's livelihoods that are being affected by it.
Right.
Um,
But it was people's livelihoods being affected by it when it was taking over cashiers' roles too.
yeah, yeah. But nobody wants to be a cashier at McDonald's, so nobody cares about that one.
Or Walmart more likely. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, so if we're okay with AI taking the jobs that are less desirable,
Yeah.
and that leaves people the opportunity to be creative then instead, because here's the deal. I think that most humans, in one way or another, are like our base programming is to be
Hmm.
creative. Honestly, like little kids, what do little kids want to do? They want to draw. They want to play, and
I want to color.
playing is being creative in its own way, right? You're
Yeah.
creating characters with your toys, and you're making them do things. And I think that like as we age and we like enter the workforce, a lot of us lose that. Or as we enter
Hmm.
school even, and school doesn't prioritize art and play anymore, or music. So it's like and there's even like even in athletics there's creativity, right? Like you have to figure out a way to play the game that's creative and not like a robot.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
like as we age, we start to lose that kind of, well, we lose the ability to like indulge in that part of ourselves, right? So if we're willing to like let the robots have that stuff, then we
Yeah, the robots can take the jobs we don't want so
right.
that we can free up our brains for more fun things.
Right. So then we can do the
Yeah.
creative, engaging things that we're inherently designed to do and to want, I think.
I think the issue too, though, is that once AI starts encroaching on those creative things that we like to do, like we talked about before, people like being artists, and so they don't want people to pay for AI generated art. They want them to pay for people generated
No,
art. But
exactly.
here's the other thing, like what I was talking about before. Like let's say you run a marketing department in some big company, and you're told you need some advertisement art, or you need something like some art for like your store or something. What is the cheapest way to do it
Yep.
then?
Yep.
Is AI art. And what
Wow.
does a business exist for if not to just make the most money possible and have the least amount of effort and to waste the least amount of money possible, because that is all this society cares about. So of course AI art I think is going to become a huge thing in like the corporate world, in like companies that are just trying to produce art for marketing. I think that's going to be really prevalent, probably,
Wow.
if it's not already.
No, for
I don't
sure.
know.
You know what's wild is, oh my gosh. Okay, so I think that, wow, you just like opened such like
A
a
can of worms, didn't
wealth
I?
of like thoughts. Because like, our parents are artists.
Yeah.
And like mom is a painter who sells her paintings. So
Right.
when I say artist, I don't just mean like they just like to be creative. They actually like have made a living off of being artists at some point.
Yeah. She like has studio spaces
Right.
and like sells things at studios.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in galleries and
Yeah.
so like when we were growing up, there was always a distinction between like hotel art and like
Yeah.
real art, right?
Yeah.
Which like now I can look at a piece of hotel art and see what mom and dad meant, right? Because you're looking at an image, but if you look at the brushstrokes, it's like they're painted over the image. They don't actually paint the image. It's like it's been printed. It's like it's been printed to look like a painting.
It's a print. It's not real paint. It's a print.
Well, it's not even a because mom sells prints, right? So that's like where she gets a really professional photographer that takes a picture and they paint it. And if you look at mom's painting, that's a print. You can see her brushstrokes still and see how her brushstrokes make the painting. I'm talking about.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You're looking at a picture of a bunch of trees, but the brushstrokes aren't actually making the leaves or the trunks.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking at a painting that's behind someone who took a bunch of clear paint and went over it. So it looked like it was painted.
Or someone just like put a filter on the image.
Yeah.
Like a paint filter.
And it's weird.
And called it good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's mass produced,
Right.
like that kind of art is mass produced,
Right.
but someone had to make that.
Right.
But I guess now it's all these hotels are going to be full of AI art now.
Probably.
Man.
So it's not like this concept of mass-produced art is necessarily a new thing. Because like our parents were lamenting that in the 90s, in the early 2000s.
Yeah. But now
anyway.
the AI art is only going to improve though as the programming for the AI improves. Right. What happens when it starts to become difficult to tell?
Right. Right.
Then I think that's going to become a huge issue. Because then why have artists if you can have an AI do it for practically free? Unless you're like a corporation that owns AI software, and then you can charge through the nose for these AI paintings, but you can mass produce them. So like,
right. So
This conversation is making me really pessimistic and depressed about the future.
Sorry. I was just thinking, like, is there a solution? And I don't know that there is one.
Right. I don't know. That's what I said before about I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some kind of regulations or something coming down because of all this, because we like being creative.
Right. Right. Like, that's the fun part of life.
If AI and automation takes away creativity and they make it impossible to make a living from being creative, then there will be no more professional artists. It'll just be like you won't be able to sell your art. You can do it for fun, but you won't be able to like sell it.
Right.
You won't be able to monetize it at all, which is sad that you would have to. It's just sad that you can't even consider just being an artist, and not be able to just live. You know, the whole starving artist thing is a stereotype for a reason. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird world we live in now. Again, I don't know if there's a solution to it. Hopefully smarter people than us have been thinking about it and come up with something. But
I mean, my gut is, man, I don't even know if you leave this in the podcast, but my gut is like, if we were in a society where there was like a universal basic income and we didn't have to have jobs and we didn't have to make a living,
yeah,
like how much that would free up our... And you know, in that case, yeah, let the robots do whatever, and we'll do what we want.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that's like you're talking Star Trek now.
I know.
You know,
I know.
They don't use money. They live in a like a utopia or something where they don't use money. They just do what they want. They contribute to society the way they want to, and that's it. The robots do all the work they don't want to do.
Right.
They live in a technological utopia that way. But they still have artists in Star Trek. Like there's still creative people in Star Trek.
Yeah. And there's still games. And there's still like technical people too. Like people that have very skilled skill sets.
Yeah. Although I would have hated to have been a chef in the Star Trek world because they've got those food replicators. And
oh my gosh. Just think, if we didn't have to worry about money all the time that because being a chef is another creative like field, right? Highly creative. And making food taste good and look appealing. Like all the time that chefs could put into developing delicious meals instead of like having to push out like fast cuisine.
Mass produced.
Yeah.
TV dinners. Yeah.
Right. If we didn't have to like pinch our pennies and make a living.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point, and I think I'll leave it in because it's valid.
Thank you.
Because I mean, I agree. I mean, I don't know what a universal basic income would look like or how that would work.
I have no idea.
I'm not an economics major or anything, but I feel like if we were able to do something like that, and people didn't have to, if people could have their basic needs met and not worry about like, am I going to eat tomorrow? That would free up so much like mental space where we could just be more creative, and we'd also have probably lower depression and suicide rates too. But
I know that my depression would be oodles better.
Yeah. So little tangent, little like economy tangent of like what we could have, but it's relevant.
You know what AI will never take from us?
What?
Maybe this isn't even true. I was going to say like needlepoint artwork. So like cross stitch and embroidery, but I suppose there probably are machines that can. I know there are embroidery machines. What am I talking about? Ah!
Yeah, that's 100% already gone.
Dang it.
Cuz Hope already she has a website she uses where she just uploads an image and it creates a cross stitch for you.
Well, it creates a pattern for you. You still have to do the cross stitch.
Right, like you still have to do it, but you could program a machine to do it for you if you had the means.
I had totally forgot that embroidery machines 100% exist. You just have to tell it what to do, and then it does it. So.
Oh yeah.
Dang it.
You tried.
I did. I tried.
Well, hopefully, all is not lost, and art can remain at being some kind of income for people, and people can still be artists
art
and not
storytelling and all that good stuff. Music, even.
Oh, that's I mean, you can. I'm sure you can. There's probably AI that creates music too.
I'm
I have
sure.
no idea. I saw something where a congressman like used AI to write a speech, and he said afterwards, he was like, "You just listen to the first speech delivered in Congress that's written by an AI,
Yeah, I
or
hate
something
that.
like that." So I think that people are starting to like bring it to attention of like the powers that be. So hopefully, maybe something comes of
Yeah.
it. But
Ugh.
it's a scary
Ugh.
time for creatives, I suppose.
For sure.
But
Well, since we've flipped our script a little bit here, now we can transition to talking about some like fun, like
we can end on a good note.
well, and we can end on a good note. And we can celebrate art that we're
Yes.
currently enjoying.
Yes.
So
That was created by people, not machines.
right, unless you're playing The Sims, in which case that game was created by a person and you're playing in a sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
But neither of us are playing The Sims.
No. I've never played Sims.
Well,
You've played Sims before.
I think
You've watched our cousin play Sims.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I think I've watched someone. I didn't know how to play though, so I didn't actually play. I just watched.
I have distinct memories of you and our cousin like at our uncle's house,
Yeah.
sitting on the couch, and you guys would be doing your Sim stuff, and I would just be like in the corner, bored as all get out,
Oh.
while you guys did your Sim
Dude,
stuff.
I was also bored. So
The truth comes out.
yeah, because I didn't understand it.
You just wanted your cousin to like you, so you pretended
Yeah,
to understand.
Yeah, for sure. You know what though? I have since then watched Sims playthroughs, or like not playthroughs because it doesn't have an end, but gameplay. I have watched Sims.
Yeah.
Which I think I talked
It's
about on
fun.
the podcast at one point earlier.
It's fun watching like challenge things where they're like,
Yeah.
"This is the 500 baby challenge where I'm gonna make
I
my
love
Sims
those. They're so weird.
500 babies."
It's a 100 baby challenge for the record.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And yes, I have 100% watched one of those playthroughs.
Awesome.
So
Okay, anyway.
if you're listener, this is a weird recommendation, but if you like Sims content, I was doing so good. If you like Sims content, Kelsey Impeachishme,
Okay.
whatever. She makes jokes about how no one can say her last name, and now I can't remember which way is the right way. She has a 100 baby challenge that started out on BuzzFeed, and it is fascinating, and it's so fun to watch. She's great to watch.
Nice.
So anyway, but Joseph,
Good to know.
tell me, what are you watching, reading, playing? What you got going on?
Okay. Well, still watching Campaign 3 with Critical Role. I need to rewatch the last half of the last episode because I 100% fell asleep. But it's out now on YouTube, so I need to do that.
I watched that yesterday.
Nice. I saw there some stuff went off the rails a little bit. Like is it okay, so combat's cool and all, but whatever. But like the deep role play moments that they have with their characters, like when Laudna and Ashton were talking, I was like, oh, finally we're talking to Ashton about his crazy life and what the heck he is. Mm-hmm. Took you guys long enough.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Some other really good role play happens towards the end of the episode. So
okay. I'll have to go back. So still watching Campaign 3. Also, The Legend of Vox Machina finished season 2, which I watched. Are you caught up on that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. My Hero Academia is it still coming out on Saturdays?
I think so.
Yes. I think I have one to catch up on, but I'm still watching that. I started watching Bad Batch season 2 on Disney Plus because that's out now, or is airing now.
How's that
I think
going?
they're on like episode 9 or 10.
Oh wow.
It's been good. It's about on par with the first season for me. So it's not outstanding. It's not like up there with Andor or like Mandalorian, but it's good.
I felt like season 1 started to lose its luster for me. I feel like when it was first airing, I was like, "Oh, this is really good," and then I was like, it's good, but I'm not itching for another season."
The kid is becoming more competent and less annoying.
Okay.
all the Australian accents still kill me though. It's
Yeah.
Rekka. It's
Yeah.
it's so funny. But no, it's been good. I think it's going in the right direction. I just
Okay.
I'm with you though that the first season kind of loses its appeal. They also need to just find a different formula than just like father figure and found child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's so. The Last of Us is doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, I knew that because that's just that game has been out since like forever ago. But also reminds me, I've been watching The Last of Us on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Great show, love it. It'll rip your heart out every episode though. Apparently,
Yeah.
um, I know the things that are going to happen, but you don't. So it's been really entertaining seeing all your reactions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I didn't know if you were working last Sunday when the episode came out, so I did text your wife and was like, "Oh my gosh, please tell me that a certain character is will be in the next episode and not be dead."
Oh yeah.
And I know that
Oh yeah.
and I know that you know because you've played the game. But I am not ready for that character's arc to be over because it's like
Yeah.
in the middle of it. So she assured me that it was going to be okay, at least for the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This is not where that character meets their finale.
yeah.
So, yes, The Last of Us. Also, I did watch on Disney Plus Wakanda Forever because that's on
Oh,
Disney Plus now. I
okay.
hadn't seen it yet. I think that they did a good job dealing with Chadwick Boseman's death.
Mm,
I think that it was tasteful. I'm glad that they didn't do anything weird like digitally recreate his face for any weirdness.
yeah.
It was just his character died of an illness,
Which
which is what
accurate.
happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a good job with it.
Okay.
I think that the Black Panther movies do really good with their villains.
Mm-hmm.
And Namor from this one was also really good.
Okay. I
So,
haven't seen it
and
yet,
there's
but it's on my list.
you should watch it. It is
Yeah.
it is good. So that's Wakanda Forever. Also, I forgot if I mentioned this last time. Did I mention that I saw that Fabelman movie that Spielberg made it? It's kind of autobiographical
Okay.
in nature.
Where
It's
is
one
it?
he just did.
Where is it available?
I think we watched it on HBO. We watched it with California friends.
Okay.
It was on. I don't know if they had to pay to watch it though. I don't remember.
Okay.
It is available to stream somewhere.
Okay.
We'll just have to do the research on it. But that was actually really good. It was really interesting. It's kind of about him growing up and becoming a filmmaker
Mm-hmm.
and all of the weird things that his family went through.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen is in it for a little bit, which is a little distracting, but he's not in it for the whole thing. Once you get past it being Seth Rogen, it's fine.
Is he playing himself?
No,
Oh, okay. Weird.
no. Also, I did start watching Vikings Valhalla. The next season's on Netflix.
Oh.
I started it and then I was like, I don't know if the stars have aligned. I don't know. I just wasn't in the right mood, so I stopped and
feel
moved
that.
on.
I feel that.
But it's okay. That's pretty much it for watching. So for reading, Red Seas Under Red Skies for the read along, which I have now finished. I have finished the book. And I'm also reading the second book of the first Law trilogy,
Oh.
Before They Are Hanged. I started that, and I'm on part 2 now of that book. And
Oh wow. You're booking it.
hey,
Didn't even mean it.
oh
Be a
my
thing.
gosh, I am booking it. It's really good. It is
it?
really, really good.
Is it
I would say it's better than the first one.
okay?
I think because the first one just feels like it was one big old prologue,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're in the meat of it. because if you remember, the first one ended with like Logan, Jezal, Baez, Kwai going off on their adventure, their quest to the edge of the world. Galacta gets shipped off to Dagaska to deal with like the Gurkle people down there doing their shady business. So it's like all of the first book was just ramp up to the events of this one, and now it's like the story's actually started, and it is really, really, really good. It is really, I mean, it's still definitely like a dark fantasy,
Yeah.
but it fills the void that Game of Thrones left behind.
Interesting.
I would I say I like it more than Game of Thrones? Maybe. I might.
I feel weird about Game of Thrones. I don't feel like it has left a hole in my life, like The Lord of the Rings
Well,
did.
Yes. No, I mean, I enjoyed watching that content though, like when new episodes came out on HBO, like
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
Oh
I have
yeah.
enjoyed. And like the first few I mean, fond memories of like binging the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, going to Hastings bookstore and renting the DVDs with you and
And
watching
watch
them at home
In secret.
when mom and dad weren't home, and with our Ben and Jerry's. Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad.
Oh, you just
Um,
unlocked like one of the best memories.
Core memories.
Oh,
Yeah, like nothing but nostalgia
my
for
gosh.
that.
We were laying on our tummies on my bed, watching The Red Wedding on my laptop screen.
Yeah, it's a rough time. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for that particular episode,
Well,
but
no, but I just remember like we were watching it together, and we were both just like,
yeah.
jaws dropped. What is happening?
So like it's filling that void of like that type of content.
Okay. Of grimdark fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's filling the
Okay.
grim dark void very well. I'm enjoying it a ton. And that's pretty much it for my reading list, though. Just those two.
That's all right.
Because I've been barreling through that one because it's just so good. I'm still playing Elden Ring. I've made a lot of progress on that game actually, and I'm proud of myself. Even though so I'm playing a wizard, and so I discovered a spell which basically just lets me laser beam people,
Oh.
and I completely trivialized one of the main bosses that is supposed to be notoriously difficult,
That's awesome.
and I just laser beamed him to death in like
Great.
10 seconds.
Well
It was
done.
incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. So I'm also playing Persona 4 Golden, which has been a blast as well. And then there's
Are all
still
of are all of the Persona games like role playing where you
They
like
are-
click the conversation bubbles?
They're Japanese role playing games where
Okay.
you do select dialogue options. You're building up relationships with certain characters, progressing their storylines by like hanging out with them and doing things with them.
Okay.
And the more you progress with their storylines and the more you hang out with them and invest in your friendship with them, the better their skills become in
Okay.
like the combat area as well.
So you still
So-
fight like in another kind of video game style. Like can you
It's-
still button smash
No,
at some point?
Persona is turn based. It's like Third Age.
Ooh.
It's like
Ooh,
yeah.
that's my jam.
You would love the Persona games actually.
That's my jam. Okay, what gaming system do I
Yeah.
need to get so I can play the Persona
Well-
games?
Now they are available on Switch now.
Okay.
So the answer to all your problems
Is a
is just to
Switch.
get a Switch.
All right, can you play
So-
Lego games on the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah. Yeah. You could get Animal Crossing, you could get Stardew Valley. You would love all those games.
I see ads for like cozy games all the time that I'm like, I think I would really
Yeah.
vibe with that.
Yeah.
Do they have Lego Lord of the Rings on the Switch?
No, that's too old. Lego Lord of the Rings was on the Wii, dude.
But didn't they also come out on PS5? Or PS4?
Well, Lego The Hobbit, but that one sucked because it stopped after Desolation of Smog and they never bothered to finish it.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna. Okay. I played Lego Lord of the Rings with you on the Wii. I have
did.
technically completed that game. It's fine.
You can move on.
But Lego Star Wars. There are a lot of Lego Star Wars games I have not played that I would like
Yeah.
to play Are those
The new
available
Lego Star Wars is
on the Switch?
I believe it
Okay.
is. I'd have to look it up and check,
Okay.
but I believe so.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but you would also be able to play like Mario Party with Hope and I if you
Yes.
had a Switch online. So
That would be fun.
that would be fun. And then also speaking of playing, still doing D&D nights. Bit of a hiatus because of like travel stuff and weirdness going on, but
Is the
that
dragon?
is still
I need a dragon egg update.
it is still around. Yes, it is still around.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for me.
Nice.
So, how about you?
Cool. Okay, so for watching, I've been watching a lot of the same things you've been watching.
Yeah, a lot of overlap.
A lot of overlap. My Hero Academia, Critical Role Campaign 3, To Your Eternity.
I need to watch that.
You do. It's so different from season 1. Like it has grown. It's wild. I don't know. I don't want to say anything because I want to get your honest opinion without my tainting it.
Okay.
I did watch a little bit. I started watching Vikings, like the original Vikings.
Oh, okay.
I had it on in the background while I was doing things because I've technically seen the first few seasons of that, but it's kind of fuzzy. So I was like, well, I could at least like half watch it to get caught up to like newer stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like I watched something. Oh, The Last of Us. I have been watching The Last of Us, even though it's a zombie flick.
But they're not really zombies though, because they're not reanimated dead.
Right.
So
we'll have to talk. You know what? When this first season is done, we'll do an unpacking episode for The Last of Us.
Okay, that's fair.
And there's a yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right.
No, there was something else.
That she doesn't want to admit on the podcast.
No, it's not that at all. I was just thinking like how long some of these get, and I was trying to mitigate that a little bit, and I'm making it worse now.
I'm sorry I rambled on mine.
No, you're fine. You had like good things to say, so
okay.
And I like chimed in on the stuff that you were saying, so that's good. There's a Great British Bake Off Professionals. I watched a few episodes of that. It's not quite as charming as like the normal Great British Bake Off because like some of the charm is that these are people that like they have other jobs and they're just like hobbyists.
They're home cooks.
Yeah, like that's the fun part of it.
Because you think like that could be me. You know, you can self-insert as some of these amateur cooks.
And they're just so lovely. Like the people are just lovely. Not that the professionals aren't, but it's very different. Like they're like regimented. Like they've got we're doing these like highly impressive things for even like the little challenges. So I did watch a few episodes of that. So as far as what I'm reading, I finished Howl's Moving Castle with the kiddos. So that was great. The ending is very different. And very rushed. I wish there had been like a little. I feel like the climax happened super fast and we could have used a little more time on it to better understand exactly what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the kiddos asked me if I thought that the movie was worth it to see because she's never seen it. And she's like a stickler for having like books closely or movies closely follow the books. And so I said, well, they're very different. But I enjoy both of them a lot. So, and I'm also usually a stickler for movies following books. So I think it'll be okay. I'll be curious to see if she watches it and what her thoughts are. But, and then of course, Red Seas Under Red Skies. I have not finished it yet. So, but I will finish it this week so that we can record for the episode. Almost done. And then I also read some more graphic novels for my social justice in youth lit. I have a hard time saying social.
Social.
It's
a weird
lot
one.
of like sounds like at the front of my teeth. And then justice also has that kind of like anyway.
Yeah.
We read Mouse 1 and 2 by Art Spiegelman, which I had to give a text presentation on this week. And it went really well. I got all my points. I'm very excited.
Yay,
I got 100%.
all the points.
It's great.
Ooh.
I know.
Every point.
So happy. And the comments were really good. Like the feedback was good. But anyway, Mouse is a graphic novel about Art Spiegelman and his relationship with his father, Vladek, and his mother, Anya. Although at the time that Mouse is being like written, Anya has already died from suicide. So, trigger warning. Sorry. Trigger warning in general about Mouse because it's about the Holocaust and like it's intense.
It's not a pleasant experience.
No. But I do think that like the way Art tells his father's story is really powerful and really insightful. And he's also like explaining or like showing us the generational trauma and like how do you deal with survivor's guilt and like continue to live and thrive and like be a functioning member of society after such atrocities have been done to you. Anyway, I think that Mouse 1 and 2 are really good. So if you have not read them, would recommend. But just keep in mind that like it's heavy. So
yeah,
it's not like it's not escapism like a lot of our stuff is.
No. Yeah.
And actually, my next 3 books are not really escapism either. So I'm reading a lot in this class. So that's where a lot of my books are going to come from. I also read Anger is a Gift, which is usually classified in like the Black Lives Matter collections in libraries and bookstores.
I feel like I've heard of that one.
Probably. It's got like a blue cover with a kid facing away. It's very stylized. It's really good. It's a great... it's very artfully and tactfully written. And it really illustrates how quickly things can escalate. So, it's a YA, but I would recommend it for anyone. Like any adult should read it too. It's very good. If you're interested in like having your worldview expanded, which is important. The next 2 are picture books that I read because for my Mouse presentation we had to give... by the way, Mouse is spelled M-A-U-S, like German mouse.
Yeah.
We had to like incorporate read-alike books, and I wanted to include some picture books as well as middle grade and YA books. But for the picture books, I found Sitting Shiva, which is a picture book that explains the Jewish practice of mourning, basically, and like what that looks like. And it's the illustrations are really beautiful. It's very, like it's just a really lovely picture book. Especially if you've got kiddos that you want to explain like grief and what grieving looks like. I think it's a good example. So even if you're not Jewish, I think like it still touches on grief and how we heal. But if you are Jewish, like especially good because it's your culture. And the other one was Nikki and Vera, which is the story of a British banker who, before the start of World War II, took a trip with his brother, I think it was his brother, to Poland, I believe. It's been a couple weeks since I read it. But while he was there, he began organizing buses and trains for the Jewish children of Poland to evacuate on before the concentration camps and internment camps took over. And so he rescued like hundreds of kids. So like he went back to London then and like finished coordinating, getting them connected with foster parents so that they could be safe during the war. And he didn't tell anybody. Nikki never told anybody that he did this until he was like an old man, and his wife happened to find his diary entries or his diaries where he had like documented the kids and who they were going to. And she was like, nice. What is this? And he was like, oh, you don't need to worry about it.
That was an old passion project of mine.
And eventually she gets a party pulled together for like his 90th birthday, and all these kids who are like adults now came to his birthday party, and it's really lovely. But and a lot of that you hear a lot of the context for that in the author's note at the end. But so Nikki is the banker, and Vera is one of the little girls that is saved, and like it follows her story as well. So it's a good example of how even through seemingly small acts we can make a big difference. So I think it's a nice example of hope, and like seeing how people, even when you don't think that you can make a difference, you totally can. So anyway, those are what I'm reading, and I guess recommendations. Nice. So
fun.
Yeah, no, they're really good. They're really good. So, and the illustrations for Nikki and Vera again are so good. So. Nice. And both Sitting Shiva and Nikki and Vera have both won Sidney Taylor Awards, which I think I'm saying that correctly, which is a Jewish honor award.
Oh, cool.
So, anyway. But yeah.
Very good.
I'm not playing anything. I'm playing school, and it's hard.
You're playing yourself.
A little bit. So, anyway. Yeah. I don't think there's anything else we need to cover, right? Since we're doing this out of order, I'm a little like...
Yeah, it's weird.
But I think it'll be
weird
good.
Now.
I think it'll be good, though.
Yeah.
Good to switch it up a little.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
Anyhow.
I think having the main content in the beginning I think it makes sense. It makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We sure do appreciate
it. And I guess... next week will be the final week of Red Seas Under Red Skies.
Yes.
So tune in for that.
We'll be announcing our next read-along next week. So you've got a few days to... Wait. No, you don't have any more time, because we're going to record that. Anyway.
Well...
We'll reveal who the next book is next week.
You're too late if you're listening to this, so better luck next time.
Right, well, it depends on when we record, I guess. But you're probably too late.
Okay. Yes, we'll be finishing that up next week, and I guess we will talk at you then.
Yeah.
And until next time, go read something cool.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Later. Gosh.